I just want to test this and make sure you can hear me.
All right, we got you.
All right, good. My name is Janeen Uzzell, and I want to tell you a story about my love of a person that turned into a love of a thing that has led my life in tech. This is my father and his brothers. They were musical artists, and by way of the Great Migration, they came from North Carolina to Newark, New Jersey, where my dad married my mother, and they started this journey of hope. But black folks have been singing their way to freedom their whole life, singing that all would be well to their families and promising this as we picked cotton with bent backs, singing praises to the God of our salvation while music stoked our laughter and calmed our fears. And this is me at like 5 or 6, and music did that for me when I was bullied, when the world kind of came for me and made me feel like I was less than, when I was an insecure and awkward teen. I listened to the words of music and found peace and solace in the cacophony of life. My father sang his way out of poverty, oppression, out of the tobacco fields of Lenore County. And even when technology that didn't exist then made that my father couldn't own the rights to his music, we now use that as a way to create space for legacy. And that's how I journeyed back to technology. I wrote my first code, which is fun, as a kid in middle school, and I've been coding ever since. And there I learned that I knew I was born for significance, but I needed to come back to this place of freedom, and I found that in music and coding. Marvin Gaye did this in the 70s, back when no one even knew what it was. He used his buttery voice, and he did multi-layered technology with soundtracks that had never been done before. And with that, he was able to create a call to action with the song that is the 100 most influential by NPR of the century. And nowadays, we use different skills, these things that are attached to our hands, this 21st century appendage called the cell phone. And here we can look at injustice, we can record it, we can post it, and we can talk about it in a very different way. But we know about injustice now. We know it has skin, and we know that it comes in hatred and fear for people like us, the others that are willing to stand up and say that we won't face oppression anymore. And so we're able to link our lives in technology and music. And when the world comes to take away things and overturn votes like the affirmative action vote, we stood together in song, we stood together in revolution, and we marched the streets and declared that we shall not be moved. And we did that, and our connection was to music. And the new artists came together, and they turned down the oppression of colonism, and they said, we'll overturn this in song. And we began to write things like, we gonna be all right. And we reminded one another that we could come together and we could do this. Once again, music and technology connected us. My father and his brothers stopped recording for many reasons, but they never stopped singing. And I grew up in a house full of technology, loving a man that didn't know a thing about technology, but loving music. And that is what drew me back to a place of hope. And I wouldn't have done that if he hadn't done that for me. So 25 years later, I'm doing the very same thing that I didn't even know was possible because I fell in love with music and technology. I get to work in DEI, I get to advocate for equity. I get to work with people that are designing solutions that will help people unlike myself and unlike us. And so music came for me along with my global life at a very young age. I fell in love with music, I fell in love with the world. And as an adult, I spent many, many years living as an expat. And it was there that I found the difference in song once again. I fell in love with Latin music and bossa nova. I loved the orchestras of Europe, and I cried when I heard the drum beats of our ancestors as I lived in Africa. And I found a link to myself and the world, and that link was through music, and it was through the technology that is for positive change. We have people that are working on solutions that will help defend the rights of everyone that is not an other. We are designing technology for people, by the people that need it, AI solutions that are going to help us. And I get to do that in this organization that I now lead 25 years later, where I get to fight for equity, where we get to lead the largest ecosystem of Black people that are in STEM and technology, all the way from the journey of the Great Migration to where I am today. I use my life, I use my keyboard, I do it all for good, but music is my metronome. I find my peace there, I find my solace there, I get energized there, and I get ideas. And those are the ways that we can come together as a community to solve the problem. And so while I may not be a Black Panther, I fight for justice, and I get to stand on stages and on platforms and fight for the good of our people, of people that are anything but others. And we come together by building and designing. My father took his last breath one day. He breathed in love and he breathed out life. And guess what? We were all standing there and we were listening to music. And I have to believe that at that point, he knew that we were living the hope that had brought us this far by faith. And so what I want to encourage you to do is find the thing or the person that you love that has connected you to the thing that you love, that may cause you to do the work that fuels the world. And together we can change lives, communities in the world. For me, that has been a man that raised me, my love for music, and the love and the gift that I have in technology. I hope that maybe your perspective has changed and you've seen things a little bit differently, and you'll go after that and find your four-part harmony.